What's this man, Habana? He's done it again!
Bryan Habana gets it over the line.
Turbocharged winger has left a trail of defenders.
It's Habana. Habana is away.
And once he gets going, no one catches him.
What a revelation. What a thrilling sight to see this young man.
Everyone in the country was so taken. 13 years old, rugby was the furthest thing from my mind. It was only the 1995 Rugby World Cup that literally changed my life.
You've probably heard this story many times before. South Africa hosts the Rugby World Cup at a pivotal moment in the country's history following the abolition of apartheid and the recent inauguration of Nelson Mandela. The newly adopted flags of South Africa are waved high as the historically Afrikaans Springboks team try to find their place in the new South Africa. The Springboks were in an abysmal run of form, with little hope of galvanisation, until they did what seemed impossible just a year prior.
As an 11-year-old youngster who never fully understood the game of rugby and what it was all about, seeing how Madiba used the power of sport and rugby in particular, and the Springboks to unite the nation, shows that forgiveness was at the forefront of his mentality.
Being at that stadium at Ellis Park on the 24th of June, it's so vivid in my memory. South Africans who were a year, 2 years prior before democracy, there was just so much divide, and there's still so much divide. But Nelson Mandela walking out in that number 6 Springbok jersey, which was a symbol of oppression for 80% of our population, right? And then Francois Pienaar's words on the end saying it wasn't for the 60,000 in the stadium, it was for 48 million South Africans. And as a 12-year-old boy, you're like, I want to do that. 8 years later, I became a Springbok.
Knowing the player Bryan Habana would go on to become, as a young lad, he'd hit the ground running on the rugby field, right?
I was horrible. 1.4 meters, weighing like 30 kilograms, which is like half a stone. My first ever game of rugby, post 95, was for the under 14 G side at King Edward, so A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
Bryan would quickly rise through the ranks, playing for the Golden Lions in the Currie Cup, where he'd be voted South Africa's most promising player.
Oh, the good times are back in South African rugby.
Made some good ground. Now Bryan Habana.
He's in open space. Habana with the chip over the top.
Habana, brilliant.
Second try for the Lions.
On his debut.
That is why the rugby world believes there's a new star on the horizon. Well, let me tell you, he's no longer on the horizon. Bryan Habana.
Habana is away. Bryan Habana cracks on the face.
Following his subsequent Springboks debut, Bryan would sign for the Bulls and make his Tri-Nations debut in a tournament that would see him finish joint top try scorer alongside Doug Howlett and Joe Rokothoko. Habana had finally made his impact on international rugby.
He is lightning.
Cyril Habana, he's got speed to burn. Bryan Habana! That is what.
The Bulls would also make the Currie Cup final, only to lose to the Cheetahs. But Bryan would finish the year crowned as South African Player of the Year and a nominee for World Player of the Year. Bryan Habana is known for his blistering pace, but rugby has had its fair share of speedsters. So what set Bryan Habana apart from other wingers of the time? He was one of, if not the best, opportunistic wingers of all time. A real poacher, sniffing out tries while playing in teams that didn't play a very aggressive style of attacking rugby. He'd find space that couldn't be found by others, had a lethal high-speed kicking game and a high defensive IQ to find attacking opportunities even in defence. Bryan Habana in many ways is the perfect archetypal winger, a true punisher of mistakes from kicks, set pieces and loose balls. A finisher with an almost symbiotic relationship with the touchline when he danced past defenders without even grazing a white blade of grass. As a winger, Bryan Habana was never really a player who controlled a game, but it mostly felt like he'd decide it. Raise your hand if Bryan Habana has scored a crushing try against a team you support. Bryan Habana was a player who would find a way to score when it was needed most.
Wide for Habana. Gets past one, gets to another. This could be it. This is it. Habana has scored.
Habana's opening up.
Habana's a real speedster. He's spending a hat-trick here as Habana. I think he's got the ball down. Habana into the corner.
Habana was one of those rare players who won pretty much everything there is to win in rugby. The World Cup, Tri-Nations, Super Rugby, Heineken Cups, Alliance Series win, World Player of the Year, the Currie Cups, the lot. Bryan Habana's influence transcended rugby in South Africa.
On a tour through the country and going to the likes of the rural areas in the Eastern Cape and seeing black youngsters run 4 or 5 kilometers behind a bus, just to continually get a glimpse of their heroes was something that, you know, no trophy, no prize money, you know, nothing you could put a monetary value on could compare to.
From lighting up the lions to racing cheetahs, Bryan Habana is remembered as a world-class player with an instinctual finishing ability. A boy inspired by 1995 that would go on to accomplish the same feat in 2007. That young boy in the stands would one day be voted the best player in the world, in doing so inspiring the next generation of Springboks in the very same way. Habana fought for opportunities to better the communities around him. Luckily for South Africa, he took those opportunities every time he sniffed them out. This is Bryan Habana. And yeah, he was pretty fucking quick. Just a brief note from me, thank you so much if you made it this far. It would mean a lot if you could leave the video a like. It took a while to edit and find the footage, but subscribe if you're new, and I have to finish exactly on the minute. So thanks for watching, goodbye.